I won't waste your time. Here are 3 habits or 3 signs that scream that you're not in a good place in life. First off, if you snooze, most teenagers nowadays literally live like crackheads. Like literally, if you walk past, like the kinds of people that if you walk past them on the street, your mom would grab you by the wrist and like pull you in a like big circle around them. Literally, with the amount that teenagers are drinking nowadays, especially in Denmark, it's bad in Denmark. And like the tiny amount of sleep, the sheer amount they use on video games and social media is literally the same as what a crackhead would be 10 years ago. Now it's just done by people so young that they can take it for a few years before breaking down. And it's becomes like 6 hours of sleep has become the almost like the gold standard, like the wow, I got 6 hours of sleep last night, like the gold standard amount of sleep. And because of that, it has literally become unavoidable for so many people to snooze on their alarm clocks. Think about how backwards that is. You're literally sacrificing sleep. You're sleeping less just so you can have 15 more minutes to have like a few more attempts to try to wake up in order to gather enough discipline to even leave the bed. Getting out of bed isn't supposed to be the difficult part. Okay, so I have a few hacks to help with this. The first one is to simply put your alarm clock across the room from you. And I know like you've heard that piece of advice like 30 times, but if you snooze, you're not using it. You know the piece of advice, but you're not using it. And you're gonna think like, oh yeah, that would actually be pretty smart to do. Or you might think like, yeah, but like about to need my sleep. Something stupid. You're gonna come up with some stupid reason not to do it. But it is such a simple solve for it, and it at least ensures that you have to get up and kind of like wake up from your slumber in order to turn off the alarm. You're still not going to do it. You've watched this far and you're not going to do it. Because I used to get this piece of advice and it's like, yeah. Sure thing. I'll use that. Yeah. And then whenever it came to it, I didn't use it. So if you're in your room right now, if you're somewhere to decide, if you're alive, awake right now, what I want you to go and do is to imagine, okay, where am I going to put my alarm? Somewhere where my phone can charge, and then I'm going to put it across the room. You probably have a place like that. Okay, the second one is to drink some water after you wake up, because that kind of helps you wake up more. And speaking of, is drinking some water will just help your body activate, and it will rehydrate your body, because actually sleeping can be very dehydrating because you're not consuming any water, and you're a lot of people that are kind of sweating in the bed. So drinking some water can be very useful. And the last hack, this is one is really life-changing. This is the one that really changed my life. And it is to get enough sleep. You're expecting like some like fancy hack, but honestly, the biggest thing, bigger than like placing your alarm clock across the room or drinking some water, is simply to get enough sleep. It outweighs everything else, and it permeates into everything else that you decide to do in your life. do in your life, and everything feels so much more possible, and you have so much more focus and energy, and negative thoughts just go away so much easier, and every aspect of your life improves with just getting like a few more hours of sleep. Like, what useful things are you doing with your evening hours anyway? I wake up early and I go to bed like early. I go to bed at 8:30 p.m. and then I wake up at 5. The reason why I do this is because I would rather trade an evening hour for a morning hour any time of the week, because there's just so much more to be gained in the morning, in the time of the morning, because of the sheer amount of focus that you get to have. And that's just what I feel, that this is really what's working for me. Okay, and the second one is if you ever use multiple devices at the same time. And I have a bad example of this right now because, well, I've got my script, but that's different. I promise you. But imagine, I just saw some of my classmates who were literally playing a video game on their computers together, while playing like some like little mobile game at the same time. It's like, what, why? We are already living so overstimulated lives. Video games are alone on its own enough to absolutely fry your dopamine receptors. I can vouch for that. Video games alone are enough to absolutely ruin your life and absolutely fry your brain. So is social media on its very own. So is Netflix on its own. And the thing about dopamine receptors, like the dopamine in our brain that like tells us to go and pursue something, it doesn't have an enough switch. It doesn't have that. So it'll always try to be more and more stimulated because we evolved to seek more and more. And the difference between now and then is that we evolved with the dopamine going crazy about finding berries or finding a hog to go and like hunt down, or like sex. That is basically what the dopamine system evolved for. Not porn, not video games, not social media, not junk food. So it didn't evolve to have that enough switch where we can just tell ourselves, okay, I'm going to turn that switch off right now because I got enough. It will always seek more. You can see how that becomes a problem. And it doesn't sound like a big deal though. Like, yeah, so what? Like, it might even be like be them using less time because now they can multitask. So they can spend half the time on video games, which they're not going to do, but they can spend half the time on video games because now they can get the stuff done that they want to get done in the mobile game and in the video game, like on the computer at the same time. But the problem comes when this guy realizes that he wants to build a side hustle and he wants to make some money on the side. Imagine him, he's proper excited about like his drop shipping business, and he sits down to do some work, and like this, he's on Instagram. How did that happen? He tries to put it down, put it in his pocket again, tries to get some work done. 5 minutes later, he's playing video games. He will be incapable of focusing because his dopamine receptors are just so fried from the abuse of before. That person will not be difficult to compete with. That's why you shouldn't do it. Okay. The last one is not really a habit, but more of a trait or a feeling. The third one is if you don't like mirrors. And if you're living like an idiot, not eating clean, not exercising at all, not sleeping well, not trying to do any work for your future self to build an asset for him to use, then you're gonna be living this life of not really liking yourself. You're gonna passively, like subconsciously be thinking, like, what, I'm actually the biggest jerk on the planet to myself. I could have eaten clean. I could have not gone to get McDonald's or not eaten that bag of chips, but I did. And now I have to pay for it. And you're constantly thinking that. So you're not gonna like what you see in the mirror, literally. But the bigger problem is when somebody calls you out. When someone is actually calling you out and telling you you're being an idiot. Come on, dude, you need to change something. You're not gonna like that. You're not gonna like him holding up the mirror for you to see what is you're not gonna like somebody holding up the mirror for you to see what you're doing to yourself. So you're going to bullshit yourself. You're going to bullshit others. You're going to find a very good sounding excuse for doing it. I gotta relax with playing some video games. Hey, you gotta have fun sometime. You gotta enjoy, like, you get, if I didn't like eat junk food, there would be no joy in life. Like, there's so many like dumb excuses. They sound perfectly reasonable to the person. And we are masters at hiding our own bad habits from ourselves. That's why self-improvement is so difficult. And 95% of a problem is just diagnosing it. It's just like a doctor speaking with a patient, trying to figure out what the problem is and why it's there. That is the biggest issue. It's not actually like a big, like, difficult solution to the problem. It's just finding out what the problem really is. And on a final note, do you think you're bullshitting? And I'm just gonna reflect on it. I think I have let some good foundational habits in my morning routine slip, with not using any screens, because I've fallen into the habit of checking email first thing, and of going on to like Instagram, not scrolling, but maybe actually scrolling. Not too much though, because I follow like three people that upload the posts, so there's like three posts to scroll on. But yeah, then checking for DMs is pretty much like, it's like the productive thing I'm telling myself that I'm doing. And I'm checking YouTube Studio to see if like, oh, I've gotten like 1 billion views since the last time. I didn't. Spoiler alert. Am I bullshitting? I think I'm not using my time effectively at all. I could be doing so much more with my time, but I have this belief for some reason that, or maybe like, I think I value relaxation more than I would like to. So whenever I get home from school and I really want to like write 3 scripts and like record 10 videos and stuff, it just doesn't happen. I just like end up like plumping into the couch like just 5 minutes. 1 hour later, it's too late to do the stuff that I want to do. So I think I need to find an effective relaxation technique that can actually recharge me quicker than lying in the couch. And then after that, I will be recharged, and then I can maybe get some work done, but not as much as I thought I could. I think it's probably the biggest weakness that I can see right now. Thank you for watching.